Live from the Scripps Studios, this is 10 News.
There are now 417 local cases of COVID-19. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kimberly Hunt. Well, the new numbers show an increase of 75 cases since yesterday. And those needing hospital treatment also on the rise. Today, there are 85 people in the hospital. 38 are in intensive care. Today's update only reflects 2 new deaths, but we know a San Diego County resident also died in Riverside County, and that will be reflected in tomorrow's update. Doctors say the individual who died in Riverside County was a young and healthy man, a serious reminder that everybody is at risk. And 10 News reporter Anthony Pura now has the urgent warning from health officials.
Doctors say the coronavirus is responsible for cutting short the life of a healthy 25-year-old from San Diego County.
As of now, there is not an indication of any underlying health conditions. So, of course, this is very concerning because he was very young. And again, we don't have an indication that there were underlying health conditions.
Doctors at Riverside University Health System Public Health have not identified the man, but say he was a pharmacy technician and was self-isolating at a residence in La Quinta in Riverside County, where he was found dead on Wednesday.
We believe was exposed to COVID-19 when he was outside of Riverside County. The health investigation continues, of course, to determine the source of it.
Doctors now reminding everyone to follow social distancing and proper hygiene guidelines.
What we all need to understand is that novel coronavirus does not only impact or potentially severely sicken and take the lives of those who are elderly.
Health officials from San Diego and Riverside counties are investigating the 25-year-old's death, as well as looking into whether he might have exposed anyone else to the virus. Anthony Pura, 10 News.
As COVID-19 continues to spread, the county is now focusing its efforts on living care facilities. And these include facilities such as nursing homes and assisted living centers. Currently, there are 3 care centers in the county with confirmed cases.
We absolutely understand the interest and concern for residents in these facilities because they represent a particularly vulnerable population. The procedure for responding to an outbreak would be to work with the staff and administration to isolate ill individuals, to conduct contact investigations among both staff and residents, and then to work with the facility to keep patients, staff members, and family updated so that they're aware of what's happening.
Nursing homes were a major part of the outbreak in Washington state. The county is stressing the importance of monitoring these locations to keep residents and staff healthy. And Mayor Kevin Faulconer announced today a San Diego police officer tested positive.
Adding to this police officer that tested positive are 3 lifeguards that have tested positive. This brings our total case of public safety professionals that have tested positive for COVID-19 to 6. I know this is a particular difficult time for everyone in our community. And these are particularly difficult times for our public safety professionals as well, because they're out there working day and night, fulfilling their oaths and the obligations that they took when they accepted their positions. And I will tell you what, they are doing a phenomenal job.
The mayor also applauded researchers at 2 San Diego firms, Inovia and Arcturus Therapeutics, for their work on vaccines that could be just weeks away from clinical trials. And just to our south in Tijuana, things don't look much different. Our media partners at Televisa sent us these images, and a normally busy Revolucion is looking like the streets of San Diego. Businesses are shuttered except for the occasional food vendor, and those are there just for takeout only. According to Televisa, in Baja California, there are 20 confirmed cases of COVID-19, 10 in Tijuana, 10 in Mexicali. The number of novel coronavirus cases is surging tonight in the U.S. Los Angeles Mayor Eric Garcetti sounding the alarm. Angelenos are days away from the storm the likes of New York City. ABC's Marcy Gonzalez reports other cities could be dealing with a concerning rise in cases as well.
An alarming glimpse inside the coronavirus emergency in New York. This video shared on Facebook showing Jamaica Hospital Medical Center's packed emergency room. Doctors and nurses working tirelessly across that state, which has nearly half of the country's COVID-19 cases.
It's been like a war zone. A medical war zone.
Nationwide, the death toll from the virus reaching at least 1,500 and rising. In California, the CDC still investigating the cause of death for a 17-year-old boy who officials say contracted COVID-19 and went to an urgent care for treatment.
He didn't have insurance, so they did not treat him and sent him to AB Hospital. But by the time he got there, it was too late.
And at this hospital in Georgia, at least 16 patients dying from the virus, all without family by their side.
It's so hard to sit there and hold your patient's hand while their family members are sitting there telling them they love them.
The crisis intensifying abroad as well. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson announcing he's tested positive for the virus.
I've developed mild symptoms.
Italy recording its highest daily death toll yet, 969 people killed by the virus in just 24 hours. Pope Francis in a desolate St. Peter's Square praying for an end to the pandemic. Marcy Gonzalez, ABC News, Los Angeles.
An historic economic relief package is now law. President Trump signed off on the more than $2.2 trillion to help people and businesses struggling in the wake of the pandemic. ABC's Alex Prochet reports on when Americans may start to see its effects.
Tonight, historic help on the way.
The motion is adopted.
The CARES Act, a $2 trillion stimulus, the largest emergency aid package in American history.
Urgently needed relief for our nation's families, workers, businesses, and Americans.
The bill rushed to the president after clearing the House in a voice vote that took hours of debate.
I'm headed back to Washington this morning for a voice vote.
Members defying health advice and flying back to the Capitol after a last-ditch effort by GOP Representative Thomas Massie of Kentucky to force a roll call vote.
And I request a recorded vote.
His demand blasted by both parties, the president calling Massie a third-rate grandstander. His colleagues in Congress spacing themselves out on the floor and chamber to ensure a quorum and overrule him.
We will fight it together until we win together.
Right now, we're going to pass this legislation.
The CARES Act will bring much-needed aid to millions of workers and business owners now without sources of income. Payments made to millions potentially going out in early April. For those earning $75,000 or less, $1,200 plus $500 per child. Unemployment checks going up $600 per week for 4 months. Benefits extended from 26 to 39 weeks. And student loan payments suspended for 6 months. Also today, the president making use of the Defense Production Act for the first time, directing General Motors to begin building ventilators. GM saying those ventilators would be ready to ship as early as next month. President Trump firing back at governors critical of his response to the outbreak, including Washington Governor Jay Inslee and Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer, saying he wants them to be appreciative.
You know what I say? If they don't treat you right, I don't call.
Alex Prochet, ABC News, Washington.
Scammers are using the pandemic to try to steal your money and personal information.
We're seeing quite a few fraudsters that are relying upon the fear and apprehension associated with COVID-19.
The FBI tells 10 News they're seeing a rise in people receiving unsolicited emails that look like they're from the CDC. The fake emails claim to offer medical equipment and treatments to fight COVID-19.
Most of the crimes that we see are internet-based, but it's not exclusive to just things that come across your computer.
The FBI says don't open attachments or click any links from senders you don't know. Also, never give any personal information in a response email. The number of calls to San Diego County's child abuse hotline has dropped by more than half since schools across the region closed. A child welfare advocate who spoke to 10 News says the most common people to report abuse are teachers and child care providers who are no longer with the children.
And in normal times, I would be thrilled, Adam, but this really isn't a good news story. This is really something of grave concern because we know that children are now not in school, they're not in childcare, they're not in places where there are other adults who can see them and know how they are doing.
These are vulnerable times for children. County officials told 10 News not to draw hard conclusions from these numbers. They say it's too soon to fully understand how the recent changes have impacted child abuse reporting. County officials said the child abuse hotline continues to operate 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.